Alrighty, welcome back. I'm your man Bad Jed, and Queen Jolene's on the camera, and Doug's in the house, and we are on air. So me and Doug have basically got the car taped up, got the paper on it. We're ready for some primer. We are not putting anything on it before I put the primer on. I'm not putting no sealer on, not putting no epoxy on. I am putting primer on. And the reason I'm saying I'm putting primer on is because all the metal that you see showing has either been sandblasted or sanded or wiped down or wheeled or whatever. So I'm saying that the primers, that's basically all I use. Me and Doug were having a little conversation earlier. He said to me, are you going to wash that all down and do it? Well, no, I'm going to prime it. And basically the reason being is I feel that's the only thing necessary. I've had no issues with any other car priming on the metal. So I'm using feather fill, and it's a high build polyester primer, which if I have any problems with anything on the car, the primer that I'm using, you're able to scratch it and you're able to put fill on top of it, and it sands off and feathers off nice. If you're using the lacquer primer with the thinner in it, that stuff there you cannot put the body fill over top of. But I'm going to put some primer on this thing. We deleted the holes in the door today. We deleted the holes in the front fender. We deleted the top holes on the other side. We deleted that. We tried to get some paper up underneath so the primer doesn't get up underneath. It's all been blacked out in there. If it gets on it again, there's going to be more. There's going to be more time that we're going to be at it, working on it, and that sort of stuff. But it's really going to be nice to be able to see what the car looks like in primer with the roof that has been shortened 1.5 feet. The roof has been shortened 1.5 feet, and we have deleted a lot of the trim. So I'm happy about that. And now it's time to put some primer on. This primer, there was one time when I put the primer on before. I mixed it all and then tried to spray it all. Well, I know better this time. I'm going to mix it 1 quart at a time. Jolene's got the fancy work case. She turned the light on. You see that?
Does, look at that.
She's fancy. She's good. So I'm going to mix 1 quart at a time so this stuff does not fail on me. And what I mean by fail is harden on me, so I do not get it on. We have 4 hardeners with it. I get it at my Napa Know-How store. It's feather fill. It's a polyester primer surfacer. So that's what I'm using. That's what I generally always use. And I'm going to put a gallon on this car easily, no doubt in my mind. And what I like to do is I like to hit my primer places first. Or not my primer places, sorry. My body filled places first. So there are places on the car, like on the roof where it's got body fill. On the door, wherever there's body fill is where I prime first. And the reason being is because I want that product to help me straighten, fill, and get it ready for paint. And what can I say? Yeah, that's the places that it needs the attention, is where I'm priming first. One of those little these little things to a quart, and I'm just going to basically guess. There's 1, 2, yeah, it's basically a quart. I could measure it, I suppose, but once the primer gets on there once, then you can't see the measurement. So it is what it is. And I don't feel like I'm that far off when I do it, so I basically don't think it matters that much. So it's 1 of these hardeners for every quart. And I'm going to mix 1 quart at a time. That way there, nothing goes wrong with it. Doesn't harden on me. There was something else I was going to say, but I kind of lost my way. was surprised my gun was still got thinner in it. Excuse me for a second. I need to nervous pee.
No filters, Chad? No filters?
For primer, I do not use filters for primer. The reason being is I'm sanding it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm going to sand it till it's smooth. I'm probably going to end up priming things again. If I was going to prime and then paint it, I probably would use a filter. Seeing where I'm not going to prime, just paint it, I'm going to prime it. I'm using this product to find out if it's straight or not, and I'd probably put another primer on it again. Doug's going to ask all the questions that everybody else wants to ask.
Some people would filter everything that goes into their gun.
Yeah.
Everything.
I understand that.
Yeah. There's a lot of steps that don't need to be taken at times.
Well, they may need to be taken, but I generally just put the primer on, and then when I sand it, if there's any dirt in the primer, I generally sand it out, generally.
Different strokes, different folks, man.
That's right.
Everyone does things different.
You got that right. Alrighty, let's put some primer on that bad boy.
Sweet. Mask.
Doug, are you able to unwind my cord on that fan over there and plug it in? There's a cord there. There's a cord on the fan. Just see if you can unwind it.
Okay, I see it. There we go. It's a cute little fan, man.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, it is a cute little fan. Where's your extension cord, buddy? You got
right
a plug in here? I don't know.
Come right here.
Oh, cool.
See if it still works.
Is it supposed to turn on? Check that out.
Isn't that cute?
There you go, man.
Alrighty, I'm going to do some priming, man. If you just want to stretch that hose, make sure that hose is out straight. Body fill places first, or bare metal. Also, I was telling Doug, it's 40-80 prime, so the body work is done with 40 grit, and then 80 grit, and then I'm priming it. So there's still scratches in it and all that sort of stuff that has to come out, and that's why I'm using the polyester primer filler to prime it. Also, I find if you start putting higher grit sandpapers on autobody filler, it gets wavy. If you want straight fill, and if you want straight fill, use sharp paper. All the body fill places first. Ooh, that looks good. Bare metal. Did you want out, sweetheart? Actually, I'm going to go do the side of the hood so I don't get dry stuff on the other side of the hood. Or the roof, sorry, the roof. The reason I'm doing the whole roof and not the body, just the body fill, is because I want to block the whole roof out together and make sure it looks good. We have taken the roof and cut 12 and a half inches out of it. We want to make it look like it's never been done. The gun is at full pressure. It's at full pressure. And the reason being is, you can see how flat that primer is going on because I'm spraying it at high pressure. If I spray it at low pressure, I generally get orange peel.
So it's lots of product, lots of pressure, one coat? Yeah.
No, I'd probably put more primer. I put more primer on than I need. I just walk it right to her.
The
reason being is if I don't have it, I can't sand it. It was like when we sanded the car, there was no product on it, was there?
No, it was thin.
So
Almost see-through.
Well, I want product on the car so we can sand it.
That's right. And get it flat.
Exactly. Ooh, love it. Not as much as you, Jolene, but I love it. So I turned it off, did I? And if you try to shove all that hardener in that primer, and then stir it up, and then come back in and get it and all that sort of stuff, it'll harden up on you. And if you put it in the shaker, it'll harden twice as fast.
Wow.
So 1 quart at a time. If you know what I'm trying to say.
You learned the hard way?
Yeah, I did.
That's how you learn stuff.
I'm actually going to hit all the body fill places one more time before I actually I'm done with the mix some more. It looks good. It looks good.
That looks good already, yeah. I like it.
She's drinking again, boys. She's drinking again. She wasn't very happy when I talked because she's not drinking. Alrighty. Halfway, let's dump another one in. It's been a while since I've done this. But I guess it's like skating or riding a bicycle. Once you learn how to do it, seems to pick up very quickly. Paint on my...
It's kind of cool in here. That won't affect it, will it?
Well, it could slow the drying process down. Got red paint on my console there, I see. Probably should move that. I'm hoping there's a product on it that just falls off. It is cool in here, isn't it, Doug?
It is a bit cool, yeah.
The drying process might be a little bit slower.
As long as it don't fall on the floor.
I'm putting the sticky side on. Sticky side on. I'm going to hit this trunk lid over here. I'm going to slow the pressure down a little bit because we're here. Now you can really see how the bodywork on the trunk lid looks. Just wanted to do the body fill places first, and then I'll put more on. Piece jump out there in the primer. Something hard to clean a trunk lid when you just blow it and things just constantly pop out like this. But there's still lots of dirt in this bad boy. Still lots of dirt. When we bought the car, it looked like a lot of the work had been done, but the biggest amount of work was not done when it comes to the hood and the trunk lid. You know, it's sort of quite a bit of work to do both sides of the hood and the trunk lid. where we stripped them, but nothing was done to them other than what we did. So thinking that it was a lot of the work had been done, from what we understand from the previous guy, he had $20,000 in it the way we bought it, and the hood and the trunk lid wasn't even touched. And there's still a lot of stuff that wasn't touched. And you can imagine, well, you don't have to imagine, just realize how much it costs to build a car. And I'm not saying anything about, the work, not saying about nothing. I'm just saying what it actually costs to do something nowadays, and costs a lot of money. I'm going to do the body fill spots one more time, and the reason being I'm feeling like the car is not bad where it was done before. I will put some primer on it, but I'm going to do the body fill spots one more time. The reason, because I think it needs more product than the rest of the car. It needs more product than the rest of the car. Bare metal spot. Some body fill there. There's some bare metal there. For the other side of the roof, I think I'm going to run out of primer, so I'm going to grab some primer before I go to the other side. So true.
You use the same gun to prime and to paint?
No. And that's what I use them cheap guns for, Doug.
Yeah.
I've got...
And they're all primer guns?
No, they're all paint guns or primer guns, don't matter.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll usually paint with them on, and then it turns into a primer gun. But I will paint with it if I've only primed a couple times. And we bought them for $15 a piece.
That's
and if I can't charge $15 to a job,
yeah,
I'd spend an hour, cleaning the gun.
Paint guns can get quite expensive.
You get that right. So now after I paint paint with this, I definitely will keep using them as paint primer guns.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've got enough guns there to last me a lifetime.
Nothing lasts forever.
No, but you know what I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm trying to tell you.
Yep.
Come here, Dad. You can see that that's flashed off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's only, I've just gone around the car. You can see that it's dry, pretty near.
See that? Looks like you're moving a little slower and putting more on too.
I guess Jolene wants to see, everybody else wants to see. You can see
Yeah.
you can see how that's flashed off, how it's dry looking. You can see around the body fill, around there. You can see how it's dry compared to the wet stuff.
Flashed off pretty fast.
Yeah.
Very
That's why I continue on. I don't hold back. Doug has a mask, but he just doesn't have it today. How many you get on? You tripled it up?
Yeah, double, triple, whatever.
Good.
I got one at home.
Because it bothers you, you don't have to. Now this quarter panel was not completed, so I'm going to put some primer on it. Yeah, I primed that. Just to make sure. Sand it through spot there. Delete. We deleted holes there. Delete it there. Did not use no putty. Did you notice that, Doug?
No putty. Nope. Good.
Now what I do is I putty, or I use body fill. I find all my pinholes after I prime.
Yep. You would. I've seen a couple around.
Come take a look. Come here. Yeah, we'll come take a look.
I've seen one over here too.
Yeah. Oh, there's a few in it.
Yeah.
You see, like, there's some pinholes here. Now, before I block this car out, I'll take a little body film and squeeze it in the holes.
Yeah.
And then when I block the primer, I'll block the pinholes at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm putting more primer on. Also, I don't want to putty the whole car.
I don't blame you. It's a step you don't have to take.
I don't want to putty the whole car, and that's generally what happens if you're puttying. You're blocking the whole car again, and I'm not into it. And it comes down to that thing again where everybody does it differently, doesn't it?
We sure do.
Yeah, everybody does it differently. And it's funny how, you know, I'm not mixing, I'm just throwing it in, I'm guessing a quart, and then I'm putting the hardener in. It's funny how sometimes these things are really full, and they're not full. It's kind of weird, like sometimes they are and sometimes they're not. So I guess it doesn't hurt if I guess a little bit, because they're generally not full. So Doug knows more than I do because he's watching me do it, and he's worked at many other different shops, and he knows how they do it.
Well, it's different, man.
There's a difference, he's saying.
I like your way, less steps.
Yeah, it is less steps.
I want less steps.
And he's supposed to say that because he works here.
Yeah, this is all scripted.
Exactly. All right. Alrighty. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a coat of primer on it, and then go from there, put a coat of primer on it. You see me waving the paint gun over something more times than I, should be? Well, I'm noticing that that's not looking right there. So what I'm doing is wave more primer over it so I have something to work with. That's all that's happening there. If you see me waving the gun over something more times than I should be. I'll paint. I'm going to go to the other side and put some more primer in this, and I can probably do the roof, do the other side, then I'll come over and do the front end all at once. seeing a lot of pinholes. So I'm really going to have to go over the car really well. Did work there, so I'm just putting more primer on it. Now that I have that primed, I'm just going to prime the hood and come right down over the front fenders and finish it. And the reason I like to sock it to the hood, you can tell I'm socking it to the hood, is because you're in the car, you're looking over the hood. It's better to have a lot of product on the hood so you can block it out so it really looks good. That's basically where you're going to be looking full time, is out over the hood. So that's why I'm coating the hood good. Coating the hood good. Everything was sanded, so this is going to stick. Not putting a lot of product on the front here, a little delete up there, but just going to cover it up. Just going to cover it up so when we guide coat it, block it out, it looks like something. One more hardener. I think that worked out really well. He's a good guesser. Ouch. He's a good guesser. The reason I say that is because I got 2 gunfuls every pour, so it basically must be pretty close to being right on. That's some creamy looking.
Ooh, take a big drink.
No, not today. Tomorrow. Ugh. I can see right now, looking down the sill, we didn't do any work on the sill down there, but I can see right now I need some work down here. See that?
Yeah.
And I'm not scared to do any work over this primer because it adheres to the body fill really well. Awesome, actually. So. Got to be careful when I do the hood. I've done some work up here trying to get that body line on the hood much better. I got a lot tighter, but where I'm putting product on it, the thinner it gets every time. So I'm going to have to be real careful doing that. Let's give the trunk lid a coat or two. Give the body work a little attention first. Don't care if that piece stays there, but when you blow on the old trunk lid, boy, there's a lot of stuff inside. Like Doug said, you could blow it for hours.
Never get all the dirt out.
Got one more gun full. I'm definitely going to hit the roof, the back, around the window. That's where the body work was done. That's where I'm hitting. It only makes sense. or it does make sense to me. I'm thinking there's enough primer on that. You can see how nice, the line's a little more detailed than the rest of it, but once we put the seam sealer on that, it's going to look fantastic. You would never know. I would fool myself. Just going to hit the back. As I hit the back and I come in here, you can see, if Jolene wants to come in and see, you can see how I just sprayed that, how dry that looks. There's a difference. So it's pretty obvious that it's flashing off. Going to go to the other side. Well, I'll do the side of the roof again. Just going to give it a quick one. I want to give it all a coat. Thank you, Doug.
No problem, buddy. I've never seen that primer ever react to what's underneath of it, but I can see a little reaction going on here, a little bit. You can see the edge where the primer is hitting the paint. You can see a little action going on right there and there. You can see that. First time I've ever seen that. Getting it on wet. That's why. Getting it on wet. Now, I'm going to do this quarter panel. Let's face it, I got a little bit of primer left. Put it where you think you need it. And that's what I'm going to do with it. Put it where you think you need it. Put it where you think you need it, man. I think I did a beautiful job on those this morning. A beautiful job. Just where I deleted stuff. Just blowing air now. Now, this stuff we sandblasted. We'll talk about that here in a second. So I'm happy with just 2 heavy coats underneath the trunk lid there. I'm feeling like we should be fine. Should be fine as the underneath the trunk lid. On the center pieces, we'll probably
rock guard it, and that's probably what we'll do there. Cleanup is 2 run-throughs on this. 2, maybe 3. I'll run, I'll shake the thinner up in this, and I'll shake it, and I'll run it through once, and I'll probably do it twice. And it's a very quick cleanup. It is. I do not try to prolong it in any way. Mask on. I do not try to prolong it in any way. We'll go back over here for a second. It's pretty clean. That fan does a good job, doesn't it?
Yeah, not bad at all. It's not too noisy.
It actually does a better job than having something too big.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the paint of your gun.
I was gonna say. Yeah, I'm feeling that's fine. We'll rock guard. We'll probably paint what's the outside edges. We'll probably rock guard on the inside edges. I'm not going to get into trying to strip that. There's no need.
Yeah,
they had tar on it before, so
it's gross.
So this is what we have.
Hey, that's exciting. It's all one color.
What's that, buddy?
That's exciting. It's all one color.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Watch this. So we have the hood, the trunk hinges here. We sandblasted them. Doug rubbed them off, I think with a 220, I'm not sure. But, aren't you going to prime them and paint them? Well, no. What I'm going to do is, this is where the epoxy would come in. I epoxy that, 1 light coat, and then I paint them. Then I don't have to prime them, 220 them, 400 them, and then paint them. Now, if I just hang them up, epoxy them, no sanding at all, 15 minutes later, paint them, and they're done. Then how much work have I saved by not priming these, epoxy it, and paint it? That's where I'll use the epoxy. On something like that, where we had all the paint stripped off, we need that primer product underneath there to feather off all the places that we stripped and whatever paint's left on there. We want to sand that to get that. If you did not want to sand that and you wanted to save time, epoxy, 15 minutes later, come in and paint it. You can. That's where you save time. That's where I say epoxy comes involved is time, and that's basically pointed at the collision shops. What I'm doing here has nothing to do with collision. Once the primer goes on, when it comes out, you want to be able to sand it and paint it. It's over, quick as possible. Where this job, you're cutting the roof off, you've fixed a bunch of places, you've changed things, you're stripping things. You're going to want to prime it a couple times to get and perfect all the work that's been done. To think that we're going to putty this whole car, prime it once, sand it and paint it, it's probably not going to happen. Basically, it's probably not going to happen. And if it does, you'll be spending twice as much time as we are doing it this way. And the reason being is because all the body work, you have done it again and again and again and again to get it where you need it. Basically, what I'm going to use this first coat of primer for is to see what needs to be fixed, where the pinholes are, and that sort of stuff. I am not covering it all in putty to get something that I feel is not straight or that sort of stuff. I've got it straight. Now I just want to perfect it. So it's all in primer. It's looking really, really good. I did not primer a couple places back there, but that's fine. So if you like what we have done, throw a like in. And if you don't like it, you know what to do, throw a bad comment in. And if you want to, you can subscribe. All we're doing is fixing cars here. And join the club, man. This is good shit. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, in the shop, you're good. Have a great day, everybody. We just primed the Thunderbird.